We have big news. We have exciting news for you. Tell them what it is, Serena.
We are super excited to announce that we are starting our first membership this January 2024.
Yay! Membership.
So we're excited to let you know that we will be hosting a monthly membership where when you join, you will be
with us live in a Zoom room once a month for a workshop like we just hosted. It's going to be a workshop like that, one topic each month, a different topic. You might even help us come up with the following month's topic from inside our membership. Super excited to meet you. It was so fun meeting a few of you in our inaugural workshop. So we're really looking forward to that.
And when you are a member, you will also be receiving a monthly newsletter where I'm going to be a little more intimate and I'll be sharing the things that are working and the things that aren't working for me.
Yeah, like taking a tool that you've learned from the podcast and how you're implementing it and how well that worked, or maybe if it didn't work. And then Amma can put in my 2 bits worth. We'll see how that goes. But a membership newsletter and a membership live Zoom room workshop starting in January 2024. Can sign up through our Patreon link in the show notes, yeah?
Yes, everything will be in the show notes, and we can't wait to see you there, listeners.
We can't wait. Yay!
Hey mamas, thanks for tuning into this week. And today we have 2 special guests that are joining us in honor of Earth Day, and they will be talking to us about detoxing your home and how important it is. And it's a long conversation, but there's so many gems in it. So we hope that you enjoy listening to these 2 beautiful souls that joined us today. Thanks, and let's dive in.
Hey, Mama, welcome to the Nurturing Parent Podcast. Do you want to end the constant battles for bath time? Do you find yourself emotionally exhausted at the end of the day? Do you wake up with big hopes for a smooth day of fun with your little ones, only to face an early morning meltdown because you peeled their banana the wrong way?
Silly you.
Silly you.
Hey, I'm Serena. I'm a mama of 2 little ones, and as a new mama, I constantly questioned myself. I wanted to make sure I was raising respectful kids while also building a strong bond with them. But I discovered that I had to unlearn my ideas that punishment was the way. With Lisa's encouragement, I've been practicing a respectful and gentle parenting approach, which is strengthening our bond as a family.
And hi, I'm Lisa. Amma means grandmother in Icelandic. I am a mama and an Amma. And I have over 40 years of experience in childcare and parent coaching. And I am so excited to share the knowledge I've gained over these years with you.
Together in this podcast, each week we will explore some easy to implement skills you can add to your parenting tool belt to help you create a happy, thriving family. Hey mamas, we are very excited to introduce you 2 new guests. Today we have Becca and Raquel, who are a mother and daughter team that launched their Earthy Girls podcast on Earth Day in 2021. The Earthy Girls, like they say on their podcast each week, are here to encourage, inform, and inspire listeners to take that one small step every day for their families and for the planet. Becca comes to the podcasting world with a BA in radio, TV, video, and film, and Raquel, Becca's daughter, has always had a lifelong love of the natural world, which led her to get her BA in biology and botany in college and become a science teacher. This science approach is what Raquel loves to bring to their listeners. And after becoming a wife and mother to her now 6- and 3-year-old children, Raquel yearned for a more simple and intentional life and is now focused on being a steward for the planet by embracing a natural, non-toxic lifestyle. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you.
Welcome, Becca and Raquel. And I just have to say, I'm super excited that you are a mama and daughter team. And even though Serena and I are not biologically related, She does feel like my daughter. We've become a mama and daughter team.
That's so sweet. I like to tell people Raquel and I are a dynamic duo, mother-daughter, who are going to change the world as much as we can.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're trying.
One family at a time. All right. So our first question to you is, I'm really curious, what made you start podcasting the Earthy Girls together? How did that come about?
Well, it's so funny, 2020 hit everybody pretty hard. The pandemic, a lot of us were forced to shelter at home. I took the opportunity to take, an online business course. And it helped me, get out of the funk. It helped me get out of my head and focus and change the direction of my life. Raquel and I had already been working in a business. We had Raquel's passion for petals, her passion for, like her mom, not wasting, conserving, trying to do the best she can in her wedding industry to, stop the waste. So we were already on this path, but what happened was the pandemic kind of forced us both into that, what, we have to do something mode. And one of the assignments in the online business class was, start a podcast, do it messy. And I literally texted Raquel and said, hey, babe, you want to do a podcast? And she's like, yeah, okay. You set it up, Mom. And literally. And then I was at her house the next week and we recorded our intro in her kitchen. And we were kind of goofy. We were like, hey, I'm Rebecca. She's like, I'm Raquel. And we are the Earthy Girls. That's kind of what we did.
So cool. What a fun story. So many beautiful things, I have to say it, have come through this pandemic.
Yes.
Have been born out of, and isn't that the way when stress becomes, our stresses become our blessings, right? So beautiful. And anything else to add to that, Raquel?
Well, so I'm a wedding florist by day. I was a science teacher, and then I also was a florist. I started a company kind of for fun on the side, helping friends get married. And from there, it just took off and really became a career. I left education and I really still was missing that part of my heart. I started teaching floral classes and started mentoring up and coming florists. And then, my business was growing great. I also was growing a family and all of these things were swirling around. COVID hit us pretty hard in Texas. We had to stop weddings. I always said, I have a sure job. Everybody's going to be getting married, right? Everybody's always going to get married. And then a pandemic happens and you can't get married. You can't have these joyful celebrations anymore. So I did have some more time on my hands and we really kind of focused on, we had this great idea of turning old flowers that would have just end up in the trash into something beautiful that we could give to our brides. So Mom loved it. She's an artist. She's got such a creative mind and loves to work with her hands like I do. So she just turned flowers into paper and it was beautiful.
Oh,
so that's how we started calling ourselves the Earthy Girls. And then from there, it really just became, hey, we have this passion for being sustainable and living a more natural, intentional life. And so when she said, let's do the podcast, I was like, yeah, I have more time now. I'm not doing all these weddings every weekend. I'm a little bit home more. And I too, like all of us, like to do several things, have a business, have a family. And we call this our passion project. So it's been really fun. And we've also grown together as a mom and daughter duo and really just kind of having this passion that we both, share in common that we get to just bring to the world. So we love it.
Beautiful. And I love too how all the different parts of who we've been in our lives can come together and create something new, but it's also something that has all those little pieces from who we've been and what we've done in our lives. I love that.
Absolutely.
So I'm a singer and a songwriter, and you will hear me sing on our podcast quite often, just random singing of how to get the children to clean up time, just like I just do it. And it's just part of who I am. So I love that both of you are bringing so many multifaceted parts of who you are to your work. It's beautiful.
And I would add that watching Raquel and doing this with her gives me such a big sense of pride and joy. And it's something that we get to do together and help it keep us close together. So it's a bonus too for
Really
me.
beautiful. Really beautiful. All right. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so I've been trying to do it as a mom, and I have asthma, so I'm very sensitive to dust and chemicals. I also have eczema, so I've been trying to live a kind of tox-free lifestyle, but I have no idea. So if you can just explain to us like the basic foundation of where we start as parents and what we should be aware of, and just kind of understanding the foundational things.
Raquel, take it away.
Yes, I'll kind of hop in there because, we also think about a holistic approach to detoxing your home, detoxing your life. And, our homes can actually be up to 3 to 5 times have more pollutants than outside. So sometimes the air that you're breathing in your house can be making you sick. Like you said, if you've got asthma, sometimes it's the candles that you're burning or the chemicals that you're cleaning with or the products that you're putting on your skin or your baby's skin that can be causing these problems. So when you think about detoxing and using that holistic approach, you're starting from the very basics. What am I bringing into my home that could be harming me? So we like to kind of take that and just break it down, and we call it detox your domain, which is everything. It's your home, it's your body, it's your skin, it's the air you breathe. So it can be overwhelming, but when you kind of think about it just from the basics, this is where we need to start. Let's look at ingredients. Let's read our labels. Let's just even, like you said, I think the mindset is, what am I bringing into my home? What are the toxins? We can't really control the toxins that are in our air outside, or sometimes the water that we drink, or even the food that we buy from the stores. But we can control what we bring into our homes and what our children will, what their environment will be like inside our house.
Yes, absolutely, Raquel. I agree 100%. And I would, as the old, Raquel likes to mention, I'm the OG earthy girl, and I am, I would say.
What does it mean, OG?
Old school.
Original. OG's the original.
The
original. Okay.
Yeah, I'm the original earthy girl. And I would say, and Raquel knows the toxins that we need to be aware of. But I would say the first thing is the mindset, Lisa and Serena, is to make sure that it is a priority for you to take the time to read those labels, and also to be aware that, even reading the labels, you could be greenwashed, right, Raquel? You could be greenwashed. And that's a reality that, a lot of companies want to slap on. Hey, we're eco, we're sustainable, but yet the ingredient, and maybe it's the packaging, it may be cardboard, but what's inside the bottle? And is that bottle glass? Is that bottle plastic? There are so many things that we need to be aware of as a consumer, and it is upon us. We have to remember, and I've only taken a couple of law courses, but the one thing that I remember from what my first law course was, buyer beware. Buyer beware. So the onus is on us. It's not on the companies. The companies can do and say whatever they want and put whatever they want you on the shelf. And we just stroll by and think, oh, this looks nice. This must be good for me, because it says so on the packaging.
I also want to say to that, something I've been very aware of for a few years is that where we spend our money is where we're voting. If I spend my money on an organic orange instead of a commercially grown full of pesticides orange, I am voting for organic farmers. I am voting that we stop pouring poison on the food that we eat. Right. So that's a really good thing for consumers too. All right. So to help our listeners not feel overwhelmed, do you have, is there a hierarchy? Is there some way that we can get specific for people? Like, what should they look at? Is it our laundry detergent, our dishwashing soap, our cleaning products, our personal hygiene products? Like, what is it that you recommend people start? Where do they start?
Okay, Raquel, before I'm going to let her hop in and talk about some of the packaging or actually the the chemicals, but I wanted to say this. Raquel and I did a couple of episodes on talking about, our different organs in our body. Remember, our skin is our biggest organ, the epidermis. So I would say, from my point of view, I always consider what's going into my whole body. I think the air, the water, the chemicals in my home. I've actually almost, poisoned myself by putting bleach and ammonia together when I was a young mom. I didn't know that you couldn't mix those. And I was just like gasping for air.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it's like Raquel mentioned in the very beginning, a holistic thing. But I think to niche it down, to break it down, to unpack it, I think Raquel needs to really talk to us about, everything in the domain and what what words you need to look for on those labels, Raquel. I think that's something we can offer the listeners, don't you?
Yes. And for me, it started, I had a premature son. He was almost 7 weeks, 6.5 weeks early. And the last organs to develop are your lungs. And so I did hear too, Serena, that premature babies, they have more of a chance of getting asthma. And so that to me, I said, okay, well, what can I do? I already was really into the natural world and I liked natural cleaners. But the biggest thing for me was like, okay, the cleaners that I'm spraying in my home are directly going into my child's lungs. And that's what he's breathing in. And that could be, it's breaking down the tissue, the cells and the tissue in your lungs. And then there's a lot of things that are called asthmagens. So for you, those are things that trigger your asthma. A lot of products, cleaning products, candles. So we'll talk about some alternatives to that. But some things that I like to do for me, we talk about detoxing our domain. I like to start with the cleaners. What are you cleaning your home with? Looking at the ingredients, reading the labels, and a lot of this can be overwhelming. So we do have a couple apps that we love. And I think our listeners, if you don't already have these, to download these now. One is called Think Dirty. That's a fun app. And it actually, you can go and you can look at your products, from cleaning products to shampoos to laundry, even beauty products, and it'll give you a scale of how dirty it is, meaning it's toxic, right? And it has a green and a red. So you want to go towards the products that are more green, saying green like go, like a stoplight, and red, hey, we don't want to buy those products, especially if you have young children in your home or you as an adult have eczema or asthma. Those things are going to, disrupt that part of your body, whether it's your lungs or your skin. And so I love Think Dirty. Also, EWG is another app that we love. So that is from the Environmental Working Group. And they also have you can go on there, you can even scan, you can take a picture of your product. You can go through there and you can find really good products. So this has actually been a great tool for Mom and I as we start to explore a more non-toxic life. And even for Becca, who, she's, I feel like, more new in the non-toxic world, right? Even though you are the OG Earthy girl, you would say, oh, well, I've been cleaning with bleach or ammonia or Windex. So those things that are toxic to us, things that we want to look for are no chlorine, no bleach, no ammonia. Fragrance. Have y'all heard how terrible fragrance is for you? So the fragrance is not actually a product. It's just a loose term that industries can use. They can slap the word fragrance on their ingredients, and that could actually be a term for up to 4,000 chemicals. Wow. So we try to buy fragrance free. And I know everybody says, oh, well, I just love my laundry detergent. It smells so good. Okay, well, for somebody like Serena, you have eczema. Okay, that fragrance could be up to 4,000 chemicals going onto your skin, which it only takes, less than 30 seconds for those chemicals to actually absorb into your blood system. So once you start thinking about it like that, you're like, oh, it does matter. It's like Lisa, like you said, some things are just so ingrained. We've been going with the flow for so long that we don't even stop to think about it. And then you think, okay, everything I bring into my home eventually is going to be inside my body, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I have developed in the last couple of decades, I live with chronic illness and I'm on some medication. So I'm very, very health conscious, and I focus on, drinking tons of water to flush the toxins from that medication through. And I've always been an earthy girl too, but I have developed chemical sensitivities in the last decade or so. And I could literally be a sniffer dog, and I could hire myself out as a sniffer dog for chemicals in people's houses. Because I mean, if I go and sleep I have to look for green hotels or green B&Bs, because I cannot sleep in bedding that's been laundered with heavy soaps or dryer sheets. Oh, like I just can't do any of those physiologically anymore. And I didn't used to choose that either, but now it's a real, I get
Now it's a
reactions
hard
very
stop for you.
quickly.
Yeah.
It is a hard no.
And
That's right.
Hard no.
And Lisa, when I was Raquel's young mom, she never had, formula. She never had any Pampers. She had cloth diapers. So
Yeah,
when
me
we
too.
say OG, I mean, I'm like the original earthy gangster.
Mhm.
But I will tell you,
Nice.
yeah, I am. I can get a little gangster on it. But what I will tell you with you, Lisa, is that over time, all these chemicals, you are now experiencing a toxin overload.
Yeah.
And so for you, a detoxification program may be in order.
I have been an organic food eater for 36, as soon as my daughter started eating, and she's 37 years. I've been an organic, like I live an incredibly pure green lifestyle. And I just am so grateful that I've been on that path, because I believe that if I hadn't been, I might be bedridden again now, like I was at the beginning of the illness physiologically. But I think now environmentally, I might be bedridden, still, or in much worse shape than I am now. So, and I hear you about the detoxification, and I don't know that that's my thing. I think that it's mostly from the medication and the stress
Gotcha.
of the chronic illness and that kind of thing. But definitely a good place to talk for others who are experiencing
and toxin overload could look like anything. It just means that your body is overloaded with toxins faster than your body can rid it. And we have organs like your liver, your kidneys, they help you detox, but there are so many toxins, like you said, they're coming in from everywhere. They're coming in from the air we breathe, the water we drink, if you're not eating organic, they're coming in through the food you eat. They're coming, there's pesticides on our food and grown in the grain. So sometimes you don't even know you're eating processed food that's been sprayed with pesticides. So I think, noticing, okay, maybe I'm getting these headaches or I have an insensitivity. I think during COVID, when we started going back out to restaurants, people were just overusing bleach, right? You go into a restaurant and I couldn't even go, like you said, I couldn't even go into that restaurant because those smells just trigger that I would get headaches. And I'm like, I can't even be here. This is so strong. But I think once you are living a more fragrance-free, chemical-free life, you are very sensitive to those things, right?
I think that's a big part of it. Going into a public washroom where they use those, sorry, people, but horrible deodorizers that you hang in a room, like they are so toxic. I get a headache. I can hardly even go to the washroom. I get a headache.
I agree 100%. Yeah, Lisa, I agree 100%. I've noticed that happens with me with makeup. Like I've noticed that makeup that I could use before. So that's why those apps come in handy. I was wondering why all of a sudden this mascara I had been using for years, I would put it on and literally I would start getting a headache immediately.
Wow.
And my eyes would tear up, my eyes would swell. And I was like, I've been using this product forever. And then I started thinking, okay, so there's something in here that's triggering my body to respond like this. So it cannot be good. It's just not good. So then I was like, okay, I have to switch and ditch it. And then Raquel was like, Mom, use these apps. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to, go scan it and scan the product. And people are looking at me in the aisle, but I'm like, I have to do this now because I can't use this mascara anymore. And, I like to put on my eye makeup. So yeah, it's amazing how many toxins that, and think about it, I'm putting that close to my eyes. So it's going right into my head, right into my body. So Without trying to scare everybody, I would say take the time to read your labels. Everybody has access to the internet. People like to say GTS that, Google that. Just Google it and find a very trusted source, like somebody that's in the medical. But then you have to be, I would think, university. Raquel and I like to use Harvard a lot. I like WebMD.
Yeah, but we actually did. We made a little list of 10 things that your listeners can do in their house to actually help detox the toxins in their house. So do you want to maybe start on that list, Mom? And
Great.
And,
that would
and
be
give
wonderful.
give your listeners and mamas and grandmamas some actual tools that they can do today if they want to.
Awesome. Yes. I love that.
Okay. So number one, Raquel, you go for that one, babe.
No, that's yours.
Oh, that is. Hang on just a second. I'm going on my Google Doc.
Right.
Okay. So the first one is declutter your domain, Lisa and Serena. And this is, it sounds too good to be true, but it is really true. So if you have too much clutter, too many things, especially things that have a lot of, covering, think about things that you have in your house that they may have chemicals in them. They may have, chemicals and allergens that will stick to them. And I really learned this from my mom. She had a part-time job at a hospital, and she had said that the hospitals won't let you bring any flowers in anymore because you don't know what chemicals or pesticides or fragrance are coming into the hospital that can change this clean atmosphere.
Wow.
And I was just, yes. And then that's why you can't bring flowers into the hospitals anymore. You can't bring in any gifts like that because every product, the air's landing on it. So we don't know what's in the air anymore. Now, do we? We don't know what chemicals are in the air. We don't know what the fragrance is in. We don't know what pesticides have been used in the flowers that were grown. So all of that comes into our home. So declutter. You don't need as many things. Don't buy more things. And then think about it this way. The more clutter you have, it increases your stress level, just having to manage it, having to wipe it clean. I've got to clean this, I've got to clean that, I've got to dust this. That will increase your stress level, which increases cortisol, which will increase inflammation, which is the runway to disease.
So good. And just on that whole decluttering piece and not bringing more in, I just really want to say to our listeners, stop buying plastic toys. Right? Raquel, can you speak to the off-gassing of plastic toys?
Just plastic in general. We're always, we talk about to our listeners, we're just trying to ditch plastic out of our lives. And like you said, obviously bringing things in, decluttering your home, dust and allergens, chemicals can land on those if you're not properly cleaning them. But plastic is actually, there's so many different chemicals that are made of a plastic. That's why we just need to ditch the plastic. But big ones that you're looking for, if you are going to buy plastic, you want to do what's called BPA free. That's bisphenol A. And so the chemical, those have actually been linked to their endocrine disruptors. So they've come into your body and they act like estrogen. And so they've caused infertility issues, women, not being able to get pregnant, young children having any kind of issues with their hormone system. You don't want to disrupt their hormones so early from things like toys, things that they're touching. So we're big into not drinking out of plastic water bottles. People don't realize how many toxins are inside that plastic that you're drinking out of. Get a filtration system, drink out of a clear glass at your house. We don't need the plastic bottles. So that's another one. Phthalates, if you've heard of that word, that's another word that plastic is. Paraben, all of these things are inside of our toys that we just, I try to ditch things and go for wooden toys. I was a Montessori teacher, so I love wooden toys are great, books, and also, hey, just getting outside and getting some fresh air, playing outside, letting kids use their imagination and their creativity, getting outside and having fun. So yes, I think that Mom knows that. We always are telling the grandparents, less toys, no plastic. We actually make them a Christmas list and try to give them some ideas. And actually, what are great gifts too, Lisa and Serena, are experiences. You don't even have to buy kids things, taking them somewhere Every time my kids go, we call her Mimi, mom's house. They, she takes them and they go do fun things. They get to go
Yeah.
outside for walks. They love those walks to the lake more than they do any toy that they're ever going to get, So
Yeah, that we are all about that over here on
All
the
about
Nurturing
that.
Parent.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And the other thing too, Raquel was doing the labels on the cleaners, but here's the other thing that you earthy mamas and amas out there can do is bring some plants into your home. So we have house plants that will actually help absorb the nasty chemicals that we don't want, and it'll also release oxygen into your home. So think about things like aloe, English ivy, snake plants, ferns. Everybody, I mean, think about when you go out into a forest, how that air smells so good and clean because those ferns are releasing all that beautiful oxygen. Money plants, herbs, snake plants. Treat yourself to some nice plants in your home, and they're going to help detoxify it. They're also going to make it look pretty. Yeah.
I have a beautiful peace lily right beside me, and that's another good one for detoxifying.
Yes, peace lilies. I probably have over 40 houseplants in my house, and that's how I like to decorate. I'm a big declutter. I like to live very simplistic, and it's, it took me a while to get there, but obviously having children, there's a lot of overwhelm. There's a lot of overstimulation with every toy that they bring in or all of their things. So as a mom, I started decluttering, and it helped my stress levels. And then instead of bringing in more decor or, furniture, I just brought in plants. And like mom said, so those plants actually are going to take in carbon dioxide in your home that you're breathing out. They're going to release oxygen, fresh, clean, pure oxygen. And they also can absorb what's called vols, VOLS, which are volatile organic compounds. So anything from you have sometimes vols in your paint in your house. You can have it in any of the plastic that you bring in, right? And sometimes I've bought in something, I've opened up the packaging, and you can just smell the chemicals off the plastic, right? You're like, oh my gosh. So the plants inside your home are going to actually absorb those harmful chemicals in your house. So plants are amazing for detoxing your home.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I just want to say, as the ever cautious please make sure any plants that you do bring in when you have especially toddlers and really young ones are not toxic.
Yes. Good point, Lisa. Good point.
All right. What else have you got for us?
So we did mention reading your labels. So reading your labels is great. Try to buy all natural, non-toxic cleaners, which we touched on just a little bit earlier. So harsh chemicals or vols can contribute to chronic respiratory problems for your children. They can cause allergic reactions and eczema, headaches. They disrupt your endocrine, your hormone system. They can also create autoimmune disorders and irritate your skin. So thinking of just ridding your home of asthmagens, which are, like I said, the triggers that cause or just flare up your asthma. Look for products that are free of parabens, BPA-free packaging. Again, parabens is a chemical that is inside a lot of soaps and detergents, even makeup, because it is an antibacterial compound. And so guess what? Mold and things grow inside organic products. And so, I always say these chemicals weren't created to hurt us. They were just created to make products last longer on the shelf, right? Meaning that companies are going to make more money, they have less waste. But these chemicals are actually disrupting our body systems. And we talk about, here in the Earthy Girls, is that when anything you put into your body or on your body is going to get flushed out into the natural world, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to excrete it. It's going to go into the water systems, and that does affect the natural world. So even, being, for us, our listeners are Earthy Girls, your listeners are nurturing parents who probably also care about the natural world around their families. So thinking about buying products that are free of parabens, BPA packaging. So if you do have to buy something in plastic, there's not another option. I know Lisa said you were always on the hunt for those toxic free, packaging, but sometimes it's hard to, I don't know, Serena, I'm a young mom, and sometimes it's hard. It's like, okay, there's no other option. I have to buy this. I'll look for BPA free packaging. Phthalates, again, that's another chemical that we have found in plastic that is just disrupting the hormone systems like crazy. Look for things that have no chlorine, no bleach, no ammonia. Look for words that are, like I said, fragrance free, plant based. And yes, chemical or companies do use greenwashing. Sometimes I even have seen it. Mom, you bought a product and send it to me. They'll just slap on green or natural, right? And from there, you're like, okay, this is
So
not.
just to clarify, when you say greenwashing, that's like they're going to use some of those key phrases, catchphrases, what's in vogue right now. Everything green is in vogue,
Yes.
especially here in North America. I'm not sure about our listeners in different countries if it's that pertinent, but it's probably getting there if it's not there already.
Well,
But they're not necessarily green, right?
y-
They're just using a word that catches our attention and goes, "Oh, that's a good one." But it's
yes.
not so much. Okay.
And Lisa, I can speak to that. Um, when I did a lot of commercials while I was in college, I got to meet with a lot of the people, the branding people, the marketing people, the PR people, and they're very savvy, very smart. They know how to trick us with the word because they know what words, they poll these. They have all these different polls. They bring people in a room and they test everything before they put it out there into the market. So they know, oh, the people want to hear green. We want to hear that it's all natural. We want to hear that it's plant based. And guess what? It's not regulated. So they're not committing a crime because part of the product could be green, right? Part of it could be plant based. Part of it could be sustainable, but is it still healthy for the consumer? Well, at that point, once they put it on the shelf, that's not their concern. Their concern is to make money. But we need products. Our job is to buy healthy products like that. We go back to very, buyer beware. It's the onus is up to us to do the research, and it takes time. And they've got us in this frenetic pace of the world where time is, a lot of young mamas don't have the time. Now that I'm a grandmother, I do have more time, on my hands. But when I was a young mom, my favorite word was, if it's not something, I don't want anything I have to read labels. Like when I fed Raquel with my natural milk for my body, I didn't have to worry about running out in the middle of the night. I didn't have to worry about, I knew what I was putting into this body was good. I knew all the vegetables I was eating. I knew that what I was giving her was healthy and it wasn't sourced out. We don't know how many places every product where it goes, where, we know now more, but I would tell your listeners, Raquel and I talked a little bit about this, and the mindset, we have to make the decision to say no. We have to make this decision to say no and say yes, what's best for our family. And if that includes us taking more time to figure out, to eat more whole foods, to use less products that have so much fragrance. Have you ever gone into a restaurant or a public place and somebody has used way too much perfume, and all of a sudden, yeah, and all of a sudden, you feel yourself getting a
headache. Oh yeah, it happens fast.
Yeah. So, the listeners, your listeners are in the thick of it, being a young mama. But I would say be a mindful mama, because you're producing the environment for this human that you created. And so just like it took 9 months to bear this baby, you're going to have time in your life where you are always, always, always guarding the health of your children. Guard the health of your children like it's like you're a mama grizzly bear, and fight the good fight and make the time to do what you need to do for your children's health.
Amen.
Yes, I definitely agree. And my daughter, one of my daughters, because I have two, one of them, she has eczema just like me. And we went through so many products with her lotions, her soaps, and the detergents, and like even the Aveeno. Everyone's like, try Aveeno, because she would just break out in redness all over, and the Aveeno would make it more inflamed. And we tried so
You
many.
didn't know Amma yet. I'm so sorry.
I didn't know Amma and the Earthy Girls.
Didn't know the Earthy Girls yet.
And then I got a lot of comments too, because we would use fragrance free, and like close people to us they would say like my babies don't have that baby smell, like that Johnson and Johnson perfumed
Serena
baby
had
smell.
she had this conversation with me the other day, and I was like, what do you mean they didn't have the baby smell? The baby smells natural. And she's like, no, my people are thinking that Johnson and Johnson, or, whatever, the baby shampoo, the baby soap, the baby oil, the baby powder, those smells. I'm like, oh no, those are not baby smells in my world. Oh dear. It is. It's what we get conditioned to, right? And that's what I want to say to you, our listeners, is, through learning to be the nurturing parents that you are learning to be, it's all reconditioning, just undoing, like Serena often talks about, undoing what she thought it would be to be a parent, and reconditioning and learning new things. So,
and Lisa, we like to say rethinking when we're on our podcast. We like to say rethink, stop and rethink and ask yourself, do I need this product? Is it going to be healthy for me? Is it going to be healthy for my family?
Mm-hmm. Very good. What else have you got on your list? I don't think we got 10 yet.
I know this one's yours, Mom, but I'll read it off to you. Dirt don't hurt. We love to say that.
Dirt don't hurt. Yeah, give us that. What do you mean by dirt don't hurt?
Raquel, as a lot of times she brings things to the table, and and it's something that I've been doing for years, but now there's actually scientific studies, grounding, walking in the dirt is actually one of the best things we can do for ourselves. And people say, oh, when I go to the beach on the vacation and I walk in the sand, my toes are in the sand, I feel so good. Well, guess what? We are reconnecting with Mother Earth. And that's where all that electromagnetic energy comes up through the soles of our feet. And yeah, so when you go into your house, guess what? You got a little dirt on your feet, it's okay. You don't have to, just use your broom, sweep it out. You don't have to mop like crazy every night. You don't have to let some of the natural world come into your home. And that's going to include.
You can have a house that's too clean, right, Mom? You
yes,
can like over bleaching, over Windexing, you're bringing more chemical harmful toxins into your house than just the dirt alone was. And so thinking about, you want an environment that's not sterile. You do want, and I'm teaching my kids this, there's good bacteria and there's bad bacteria. And the more you learn about your gut health, we need good bacteria. And as someone who studied biology in the cell and, our cellular makeup, we need good bacteria. So if you're constantly over cleaning your house, you have a sterile environment, you're using harsh chemicals that are actually worse than the dirt that's outside. And then you're creating this environment that there's no good bacteria. So there's no balance in your child's environment for, thinking about it at the cellular level.
I've read studies too about how children who are raised in those kinds of homes where it's ultra clean and chemical clean, is that they are actually getting sick. They're getting sick with regular, flus and colds more often because their biology is getting changed. They're not getting, kids are, we always talk about how we are mammals. This is something I say all the time. We are meant to be out of doors. We're meant to be running and, playing in the puddles and the mud and the muck and just, out there. So I love that.
Do you guys know the Bubble Boy? Bubble Boy?
I do. Yes.
That's what that reminds me of.
And Raquel does have to fight that with her friends, because she's had to have the conversations where, the friends are like, my child's sick, so I need to bleach the counters. I need to bleach my floors. And I need to, just keep everything super clean because it's the cooties that are making my child sick. And no, it's because she has disrupted the natural order of her home. We want to create a green home biome. So yes, it's a recipe. It's not just, let's just take everything out. We have to think about our natural world and how everything coexists. Is it okay if there's a little dust in your floor? Is it okay if there's, a few bugs inside of the house? It's okay. You don't have to, jump up and get your insect killer and start spraying down the wasps. We need the wasp. We need that. So
a healthy balance.
The wasps, we need the pollinators.
Yes.
We need the pollinators. And you guys, when we buy food that's been grown with pesticides and all the chemicals that we're bringing into our homes, right? It's like that they're killing all those chemicals are actually killing the bees. Right. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yes, that's a whole nother one.
Right. They're killing the bee. And if we lose the bees who pollinate, well, all the pollinators, if we lose them,
No
we
food.
lose.
Yeah.
We lose. So anyway, what else have you got? We've got a few more minutes before we need to wrap up for today.
I think you'll like this one, Lisa, is
right.
no more microplastics.
All right.
Ditch the plastics and switch to glass containers. So that means when you're buying a product, even Serena, I don't know if you let your kids have juice. We do a little bit of juice and water, but I buy a juice, the organic juice that's in a glass bottle. So I'm ditching the plastic at the source, right there, because everything, the plastic is actually leaching into anything that you drink, and which is going to go into your body again. So just ditch it there at the source, even for, to go containers, or when you're buying those, any kind of containers that you're packaging things in home. We like to use a lot of glass jars. So Mom and I are big into reusing everything as possible. So we have a whole shelf of jelly jars and all those cute little, I love the cute little ones, like the capers and the relishes. And so if you open my fridge, it's full of, I keep carrots in there, because carrots a lot of times come, if I get the little ones for the kids for their lunchbox, they come in plastic bags. So as soon as I get home, I rip them open and I'm putting them in a little cute glass jar, so that's one of mine that I love. Just ditch the plastics.
Totally. I have cupboards and fridge full of mason jars. Mason jars are my love.
Same, Lisa. And the other thing, we'll move on real quick since we are on that time schedule, is make sure, and these are two simple things, and we can kind of combine them. So if you do have carpet in your home, I would say if you can get out of having carpet in your home, that would be good. And if you do have rugs, try to buy the rugs that don't have the plastic on the bottom, because people are like, oh, I need something to have it so it won't slide. Try to buy rugs that are made from natural fibers, wash them out, hang them dry outside if it's a bright sunny day, and let, the sun clean them, and so it will rid them of some of, the chemicals that may have been in your cleaner. And then your air filters. People forget that air filter so often, and I'm so surprised at that. That air filter is what is it? It's a barrier for all the air that's coming in through our furnace, through our air conditioning, and it's supposed to trap some of those toxins, right? But then we forget, and then you may just notice it when there's like a big, thick roll of dust on it. You're like, oh my God, I need to clean that. You need to do it regularly, all the time, and change them, especially during the season. Every season, change those air filters, and in between, clean them. You can take them outside, run them through the hose. My husband just takes them outside, front yard, sprays the hose, cleans that filter, lets it dry out in the sun, and then brings it back in. And then we change them, for the seasons. So that's something you can do that's very simple. Clean your rugs. Don't over clean. Don't have a sterile environment, like Raquel likes to say. Bleach is really for the hospitals, if you're butchering animals, but you don't need a lot of bleach in your home. You really don't. You really don't need bleach at all, in our opinion.
Probably not in the toilet, because then people clean toilets with bleach, and then guess what? It gets flushed out into our waterways, into our rivers and our oceans, and then it's a one big cycle. And then our fish are eating, so it's one big cycle. Another thing that I think the first thing I did as a new mom when I brought my son home was I ditched candles. We all love our homes to smell good, but there's natural ways of doing it, because candles, unless you're buying a soy or a beeswax candle, they actually are full of those fragrances. I hate to say it, and we probably shouldn't even say it, but we all know the big box store that has tons of candles. You go in there and there's tons of smells, but they're actually very harmful for us.
I can't even walk down those rows. I can't even walk near them. I get headaches immediately. I am the sniffer dog, you guys.
You're the sniffer dog.
I'm the sniffer dog. I can walk through a store with you and say, no, do not buy that.
So candles
Yeah.
are created with harmful chemicals, and when those are burned and they release into your home, they can cause respiratory issues. They can disrupt going back to that hormone system again. So try to use natural fragrances. If you do have to buy something with a fragrance, it's natural, from lavender, lemon, lemongrass, citrus, rose. They're natural fragrances, because we all know if you walk into an herb garden, oh my gosh, so many fragrances, right? So using essential oils in your home is a great way to bring smells in. So I'm
you
a
don't want to
huge
use
diffuser.
something. You don't want to use something that's called a natural, with lemon or lavender, but it's actually chemically derived. You're actually talking about essential oil. Natural.
Yeah, so essential oil. So if you don't have a diffuser yet and you love your home to smell a certain way, you can buy very inexpensive diffusers now, or you can probably get one from a friend who, I have 3 or 4 in my home, and I would gladly give one to a friend who was wanting to experiment with, natural smells in their home. And guess what? There's a lot of essential oils that actually, on top of making your home smell good, will detox your air. So I had the black mold in my home. We had a total remediation of our house. But then on top of that, I was always diffusing essential oils like rosemary and lavender and lemongrass. I love lemongrass. That is huge for detoxifying. Lisa, do you have any other favorite essential oils?
When I went through a period of distress and grief, I used bergamot a lot, because it can also help with our emotional well-being, right? But I also need to say that there are some essential oils that can be toxic to young children and to pets. So do your homework, do your due diligence.
I don't think I started diffusing until after my children were 6 months old. So I think that there is, you can do a little bit more research on that, but lavender is always a very, very good, easy beginner one, because it is very, you can actually rub lavender on baby's feet. And so as long as it's a good source, make sure you're buying a brand, because there are essential oils that are full of fragrances that aren't real,
essential
right?
oils. Yeah. Yeah, and lavender is soothing and calming for bedtime. So I actually make a lot of herbal products. I make my own medicinal and body, I do a face cream, like a moisturizing cream, and also a healing salve, and other tinctures and things. And I just wanted to say that even though they're more expensive for me, the producer of the product, I buy the glass. If it's more expensive to ship, it's more, it's more difficult, whatever. But I am so dedicated to our beautiful Mother Earth that I'm willing to put up my expenses and charge more for my product to have it be in glass. And again, with your dollar is your vote.
Yes.
I will always choose a product in a store that is in glass and organic over an organic one right beside it that's in plastic. Even though the glass one is more expensive, and I have not been somebody with a whole lot of extra money to spend in my life, but I will still buy the glass, because I believe in the planet.
And we love it. Thank you for that.
Lisa, we are both aligned on that message. Raquel and I like to talk about that as one of the Earthy Girls pillars, is activate your purchasing power. That's your superpower. Yes. Whenever you feel the overwhelm, like I can't overcome the overwhelm. I can't save the planet by myself. You know what? Like you said, your dollar is your vote. Activate that purchasing power. Make that decision right there, and let's force these big box, or the big business, the big consumers, mass consumers, that, you know what, we're all going to vote with our dollar bill. We need y'all to change us.
Every time we buy something. I'll tell you a real quick story, and then we'll close up with our last 3 quick questions. When my daughter started eating solids 37 years ago, I decided that we were going to eat organic food. At that time, I live on a small island away from the big cities. At that time, myself, our family, and another family did this together. And the other dad would take his pickup truck, and he'd go to the mainland, and we would buy sacks of organic rice or beans or whatever we were buying, and cases of organic fruit and vegetables. And he'd bring them home and we'd divvy them up between our two families. And that was 37 years ago. And now in the area where I live, organic food, I think we're the number one organic food area in Canada, or maybe even in North America.
Wow.
For purchasing. And so what I'm saying is our dollars made a difference.
Mm.
And that's one of the ways that I use my political beliefs, is that I believe in the planet. I believe in we need to save our planet. And it all starts right here with each one of us and each one of you listeners. Do whatever you can, right?
Right.
Makes
Well
a
said,
difference.
Lisa.
I feel like I've just been nodding like the whole 45 minutes, however long we've been here. It's all
Good.
so
Hopefully
good.
our listeners are just nodding away as well.
Yes.
Hopefully you're not overwhelmed, listeners, but if you are, you know where to find us and you know where to find our Earthy Girls too. So Serena, you go ahead with our closing out questions. We always like to shoot a few quick questions at you at the end.
The first one is, what's one thing that surprised you about becoming a parent?
Let's start with Grandma. You were my parent first.
I was overwhelmed with the ferocity of my love for my newborn. I did not expect that. I did not expect to feel like, oh my God, I will jump into a running building for this baby. I will lift a car. I didn't realize that the mama bear in all of us is so primal. It's so primal. I was so shocked by that.
So beautiful. So beautiful. I love that was activated in you.
And she was an amazing mother. And I feel that even as, a 35-year-old woman, that she would jump off a bridge or run into a burning building for me. She would do that. And for my grandchildren too. But I have always been someone who can do a lot. I can handle a lot of things. And I feel like that was activated even more when I became a mom. Like you said, that super mom, like you get this super mom power of, you can be watching the kids and doing homework and reading a book and making dinner and doing dishes and folding laundry all at the same time and still have this immense love for your kids on top of just being exhausted and tired. And I have a lot of new friends who are new moms, and I'm just, my favorite thing to say is this too shall pass. Like, this is a season that you'll never experience again. So it may seem hard and overwhelming, but just stop in the middle of this and say, these kids will never be this little again. We'll never have this moment again. So, and a lot of times for me too, even just stopping and saying, you know what, my kids aren't going to remember how clean the house is. They're going to remember the time we spent together. So even if you feel like you're overwhelmed with the amount of housework and chores that have to go on every single day, to stop and make sure that you're still there for your babies at the end of the day is more important than the laundry or the dishes.
That's perfectly said.
Yes. Beautiful.
All right. Number
those
2.
reminders.
Yes, that's great. Number 2 is, what does being a nurturing parent look like to you?
Okay, so Raquel and I had this conversation. She said, Mom, you are always such a strong mom. I feel like that is how I did it, is that it was the protection of my children. I wasn't the softest, sweetest mom. I am that way with my grandchildren. But as a young mom, because when I realized that I was responsible for this little baby, and then when her brother came, and then as a divorced young mom, all the strength in me that I guess had in all of our mama DNA, for some reason, it just came rushing into me. I felt like I was like the original mom, their first mama, how she must have felt when she was facing the bears, when she was walking across the Bering Strait, when she was having to hunt with her baby on her shoulder, in a papoose. I felt all of that. That was the way that I showed my nurturing, was like, I'm going to make sure that my kid makes it. My children are going to make it through this universe. If I have to feed them before I feed myself, if I have to give them water before I give myself, if I have to give them rest before I give myself, that was nurturing for me, was the protection and making sure that they made it out alive.
Mama Bear.
Very protective. Yeah. Very nurturing in a protective, strong way.
I think for me, the most nurturing I can be for my children is just to be present, especially having two young children. I have a 3 and a 6-year-old. They're in different seasons and phases of their life. They need me differently. But most importantly, I can tell when, there are more temper tantrums or there is just more stress in our environment. It's because I'm not being present. I'm on my phone too much. I'm working too much. That's been a big thing for me. It's like, okay, I don't have to be the breadwinner. I can step back and be the nurturer. I can be present. My husband leaves before the sun comes up and he's home when dinner's on the table. He can't be here during those times of the day, but I can be. I have that to me instead of saying, oh, I have to do this. Now I switch that and say, I get to do this. I get to be home with my kids. It is such a joy to be present with them. And sometimes no matter what's happening in our world, sometimes we feel like we carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. We don't have to. We just need to carry what's in our home. We need to be here for our kids to stop, to say, okay, we're going to turn the TV off. We're turning no screens this week. We're going to be outside. It's been the first week of, we're here in Texas. The Earthy Girls are in Texas. So it's almost 90 degrees today. And guess what we're going to do when we get home? I know the sun
I'm up
is
here
out.
in Canada.
So this week we're going to be outside. We're going to plant some seeds. We're going to work in the garden. And I noticed that my kids are just better overall. They feel more love. They fight less with each other. They have less temper tantrums when I'm just there on the ground playing with them, being focused and just being present. And guess what? That doesn't cost anything. It's just your free time. But how you spend your free time is so important for your children.
So beautiful.
Yes.
So beautiful. Yay.
Yeah.
You are a nurturing mama.
Yes, the both of you. And the being present, even though I've been here learning from Amma these last almost 2 years, it's an awareness that we need to always practice. It makes such a huge difference. And then the last one is, where can our listeners find you ladies and follow you and continue learning with you?
Well, we are on podcasts, wherever you get podcasts, at the Earthy Girls. And Raquel does a beautiful job with our Instagram account at earthygirl.co. We would love for you to follow us, DM us if you have any questions. We will offer your listeners a free list of some things that you can do around your home. So if you DM Raquel and give her your email address, we'll make sure to forward, our tips and tricks to you, to all the listeners of the Nurturing Parent Podcast.
Beautiful. Love that. And all of that information will be in the show notes so that if you didn't quite catch it just now verbally, you'll see it written down. All right. And we just have to say happy Earth Day. It's Earth Week. Earth Day's coming up in a few days from the day of this episode dropping live. So we're so thrilled that the two of you beautiful, beautiful souls could join us today. Mama and daughter, Becca and Raquel. Thank you. Thank you for sharing the wealth of your wisdom with us and our listeners.
Oh, Lisa, thank you. And I love how you're Amma Lisa and Mama Serena. And I feel like your relationship is just so sacred and so special. And thank you for having us on and what you do for your listeners. I love your podcast. It's a great one.
Thank you so much.
And happy anniversary on your podcast, right?
Yeah.
That's right. You're coming up for your 2-year. Yeah. We're about 1.5 years. Cool. Yay. Well, this has been a real treat. Thank you. Listeners, we hope that you got some really wonderful, helpful tips for you in your world, creating a greener life, a more eco-friendly life, a life that will not only be healthier for you and your children and your entire family, but for our beautiful Mother Earth as well.
Yes.
We love you. Thanks.
We love you too.
The love is mutual, ladies. Thank you.
I love Becca and Raquel. They are so cute. What an amazing mom and daughter dynamic duo. I'm so happy that they were able to join us. And let's get into my gems. So you might be surprised, but I am going to share just one gem with you. And that one gem is to really get into the mindset and begin this lifestyle of, detoxing your home and being aware of everything that you're bringing into your home. I mean, when they stated that your home can be more polluted than outside, that's insane. And for us stay-at-home moms who are home most of the time with our littles, that's really concerning to think about that. So yes, I want us to take that one step in changing our mindset and making this a lifestyle for us, for our kids, for Mother Earth. Everything has chemicals in it now. Everything. And all the kids' toys are plastic. I had a skin sensitivity, so I was a little aware of, what I was putting on my body, what I was putting on my kids, because they had that sensitivity too. But for me, I know it's going to be hard with the plastic toys. All the toys are plastic. But you have to get committed to this lifestyle, and I really want to. So for me, my one gem that I'm taking away and that I'm going to start implementing is the awareness and the mindset and the commitment to being tox free and detoxing my domain. It starts with detoxing my domain. So putting the plants in my home, using essential oils, organic essential oils, no more candles. Oh, I love candles. And yeah, what an amazing conversation. I've learned so much, and it's really pushed me to enforce this lifestyle because it flushes through us and then it flushes into our Mother Earth, and it's millions of us every day that are contributing to this, and it needs to change. So thanks for joining us for this conversation. I really appreciated this conversation, and I hope you did too. And thanks for joining us, mamas. We'll see you next week.
Hey, Mama.
Thank you for being here with us.
Okay, how cute was that? Thanks for being here with us. Hit subscribe to get notified.
And hey, did you get anything out of this episode? I know I did. Show some love and send it to your mama friends to bless their day too.
And before you run and change that diaper, take 5 seconds and leave us a review saying how much you love us. You'll be helping other mamas find us. Did you know that? And hopefully find answers to the questions that are keeping them awake at night.
And if you screenshot your review and DM it to us, you will be entered to win a 1-hour coaching call at a discounted price with Lisa.
I can't wait to chat with you. Come hang out with us in our Facebook group or on Instagram. Just click the links in the show notes, and you can direct message us anytime. We would love to chat with you.
We also have a buy me a coffee option for a fun way that you can support this podcast for just as much as you care to give. Just click the show support link in our show notes. Thank you. See you next week.